You probably know FIX-TF2 happens in a couple days, and that Weezy is spearheading the movement, but you probably don't know that a livestream was uploaded to a teeny tiny channel called Upon Further Review. This livestream has over an hour worth of discussion featuring Richter Overtime, D-Will, Lucid, and most importantly Zesty Jesus and Weezy, who are all on board for pushing certain movements to make TF2 different from the failure that was Save TF2, to affect Valve outside of just the social sphere, to put the ball in their court, in order to not only grab Valve's attention, but affect them financially as a community by pushing the idea of a boycott, which is a fantastic idea and wouldn't hurt in the slightest to try. And when I mean everyone's on board, I mean everyone except for the one guy who's in charge of the movement, being Weezy. This wouldn't be nearly as bad if it weren't for the fact that this movement without an encouraged boycott or not even review bombing the game is as good as Save TF2 Part 2. As all FIX-TF2 is doing different is that we are now framing Valve as the problem, and we have a website petition to Save TF2 that is barely working right now. Apart from the fact the website has tens of thousands of people's potential signatures banked up, the differences from Save TF2 to Fix TF2 are just obvious things that should have been done the first time. And based on how Valve reacted to Save TF2, it's obvious that Fix TF2 at the moment is going to be no different. There is nothing unethical about encouraging players to stop giving money to a corporation that's let TF2 rot to the extent it has, and neither would normalizing a boycott hinder players' enjoyment of the game. If you want to gamble with keys and cases in this dying 17-year-old game, stop. Just don't. It's the financially responsible thing to do for you and for the community. Many others, including everyone in the discussion, agree.
The only thing, the only thing I disagree with is the efficacy of a boycott. But it isn't really, like I said earlier, it isn't based on like the Reddit chungish, positivity angle. It's just like the pure practicality of it.
Why do you think it wouldn't work? I'm curious. Why do you think a financial boycott would not work in this case?
Sure. How about you tell me why it would work, and then we can work off that.
I think, the same way any other financial boycott has worked before. You're hurting their bottom line.
It's very simple. And if you watch this discussion, when basically everyone is explaining why a boycott would be effective, Weezy kind of just has these absolutely nothing reasons for not wanting to, and just yaps a lot, speaking out of his ass. His two fundamental reasons for not pushing a boycott in the movement is because he's not sure if the quote-unquote ethics behind pushing one, and he's concerned that it will force players to hinder their own enjoyment at the cost of the boycott, which is stupid, because what's unethical is being a company that makes millions of dollars a year off players gambling and buying hats in a game that isn't playable.
My thing is, in order for people widespread, if you have an audience, to consider an idea worth pursuing, there actually needs to be an idea there. It can't just be, well, it'll all work if we band together. No, there has to be like something there that's tangible, that can produce results. Like there has to be a line of logic, like if X then Y. And so I want to know, why do you think a financial boycott, in service of solving bot crisis, why do you think that would work?
That's not really the point. The point is that a social movement isn't enough. It doesn't matter if a boycott will work or won't work. The problem is that he isn't even trying to push it in his movement aimed to fix TF2. We will never know if we don't try. Regardless if it will work or not anyway, there's heaps of reasons to why it would.
For me, it's a 1-2 punch. So historically, financial boycotts tend to work when game developers are doing something the players don't like. Your example with World of Warcraft is a quintessential textbook example of this. And I find it funny. No, and I find it interesting that you use World of Warcraft as this example, but then also promote the idea of a financial boycott wouldn't work, because that's exactly what happened with World of Warcraft. When they were upset with the legacy server treatment, people started unsubscribing en masse. And it wasn't until that started happening, very publicly, mind you, it's a 1-2 punch. It's not only the financial negativity, but the social negativity being reflected back on the company. And they very clearly hated that because they stopped publishing the subscription numbers, right, as damage control. So that's a 1-2 punch.
It's literally a 1-2 punch. World of Warcraft was an example where the corporation was attacked socially and financially, and it worked. We already tried focusing on just the social movement with Save TF2. Social movements don't tangibly affect Valve. You need the financial aspect. There's historic proof of when and how a boycott is effective. We have the prime scenario to push a boycott, and Weezy just isn't.
I fucking care about this. I love this game and I want it to thrive. I want some tangible change to happen. And every angle needs to be taken in order for that to happen. And the most tangible thing to Valve is the money, because they act for the money.
I would like to think that, I really would love to think
they're a corporation.
Yeah, and apparently they don't give a shit because they're losing how much fucking money from the bot crisis over the past 4 years, and they've still done nothing.
Well, here's the other thing, right?
If they care that much, there should be some change, right?
But here's the other thing, right? They also keep TF2 propped up because it props up their other microeconomies. They do the bare minimum to keep TF2 going because it acts as a pillar for the CS2 and Dota markets as well.
I agree with that. Yes, that's true.
And that's also another reason why they wouldn't just shut the game off, right? But they understand, and that's the thing, right? They don't care that much about the money that TF2 is earning. They care more about preserving and keeping stable the CS2 and Dota markets. If we show instability in the TF2 market, that would also send some waves through CS2 and Dota. It's like, oh shit, we don't want to rock the boat too hard on these babies earning us billions of dollars a year. Let's attend to TF2 for a bit to quell their concerns and restabilize that.
Valve makes changes based on money, like how all corporations do. The world revolves around money. Valve acts for the money. It's the most tangible thing to Valve. Zesty tells Weezy this, and Weezy basically just goes, they are losing money from the back crisis. Bro, the game still makes millions of dollars. Everyone knows this. We have established this. Zesty then makes an interesting point that CS2 and Dota markets would also negatively be affected if TF2's was as well. And Weezy kind of agrees, and they speak about that for a bit, as CS2 is also suffering a similar treatment to TF2, so if Valve sees that TF2's market goes down because they neglect it so much, the same may happen for the other game they neglect at the moment, being CS2. So doing a boycott could normalise this for Valve games. Who knows, it could inspire CS2 players to do it too. It's pretty much a low risk with a potentially high reward. I don't fucking know what Weezy's afraid of. TF2 has nothing to lose. I bet you that FIX-TF2 will fail, and next time there's a big FIX-TF2/Save TF2 movement, everyone including Weezy will say, oh, I think we should boycott this time. But fuck, I hope I'm wrong, I hope it does work. I'm not trying to be a hater, I want what's best for this game, and it's such a no-brainer to encourage the community to stop buying shit.
It's like the game series of CS2 and Dota look at that and go, oh, why is this economy failing? Why is this game falling apart? And that's starting to happen in CS2 as well, where Valve is very clearly showing their hand with their neglect on that game's front, and it's starting to, make people uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
What I'll say is, I won't leak anything, but Richter did tell me a thing, and I really like this thing. And I hope you know what I'm talking about, but I'll leave it there.
Thing is too vague. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, I'll tell you off stream. But like, I thought it was.
I don't care. What
Nah, I don't want to steal your guys' thunder, so we're keeping it secret.
All right.
But I like it, is what I'm saying.
While Zesty is giving golden points to push a boycott, Weezy just goes off topic and starts talking about this quote-unquote thing. He does this a lot in the discussion, where he gets put into a corner and he will just say anything to change the subject or a new question or something, and everyone's just kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about? Just say it, bro. Like, what's the thing? And good for him that he did, because Zesty was tearing into him with facts and logic, and I don't think he could handle it. In a nutshell, Valve is treating TF2 like it's dog shit. So why do we pay for dog shit? Yeah, sure, they could make even more money if they fix the game, but guess what, Weezy? Not only does that not prove why we shouldn't do a boycott, but the game still makes millions despite the state it's in, and it's been 6 fucking years and they haven't fixed anything. They obviously feel more comfortable to not fix it and still make money instead of fixing it and making more. They prefer low effort, lower reward, rather than high effort, potentially a higher reward. This isn't revolutionary Valve activity. We have known this for ages. Just push a fucking boycott. Not only could a boycott, if done correctly, create an actual tangible issue for Valve, but it's just the financially responsible thing to push. To voice that players shouldn't spend money on a game that doesn't work. It just makes sense, and there's no risk involved. Richter and Zesty says this also.
I don't think it'll move the needle as much as you hope, man.
What if it's the right thing to do, Weezy? What if it's the right thing to tell people to pull out of this game before they lose all their money on it? What if it's the right thing to tell them to stop gambling in this fucking stupid-ass 17-year-old game about hats?
I fucking did it. I cashed my shit out, because when I found out that there's fucking 50,000 bots every day at minimum, I'm like, fuck this. Why am I giving this gaming company my money?
Sure, but also, were you kind of worried that all your shit would immediately tank in value? Was that not a concern also?
What does that even have anything to do with, bro?
No, of course it was also a concern, but it was also for the fact that I'm like, why am I willingly dumping all this money and supporting this game and this company when they're letting it decay to this extent? And I just sold all my shit.
Weezy, do you think this game is worth millions of dollars right now? A game that is broken, a game with a movement called FIX-TF2 is worth millions? Is it worth our money? No, it's fucking not. Get this movement together, Weezy. This movement is supposed to aim for a better future for the game, and all we have established with the movement is, oh, we learnt from Save TF2, we are going to be more stern and address Valve at fault this time. We're gonna demand an answer from Valve. Let's go. Woo. But when suggested to boycott the game, all of a sudden it's way too much, and it might be unethical, and it might ruin fun for players in an already unplayable game. All Weezy has to offer is a Save TF2 Part 2 with a FIX-TF2 petition that barely works and takes hours to send you a confirmation email, and most people just end up forgetting to confirm their petition. This movement ain't going nowhere, bro. Save TF2 was trending on Twitter last time, big YouTubers like Moist Critical spoke about it, and all we got is a tweet from Valve, and nothing really happened besides a little band-aid fix. We already know that Valve doesn't care about a social outcry. We need some tangible change to happen. The most tangible thing to Valve is the money. They are a corporation. They didn't make TF2 from the good of their heart, they made it for money. Weezy basically tells Zesty, yeah man, you can push a boycott if you want, but Weezy and Zesty know that he can't do that because of TF2 politics bullshit.
I see no problem. I see no problem in hitting them at another angle instead of only focusing on the social one.
So Weezy, I'm not even on the argument of like whether or not it would work. I just don't see any harm in trying. That's
no. I'm at that point now. If you wanna organize something, I'll join you 100%.
But here's the thing. Like, I can't do that. I as an individual cannot organize like another fix TF2, save TF2 thing. You and your, as you said, cabal of YouTubers are the most influential sphere right now and are spearheading this.
We need someone who truly wants to do everything in their power to actually fix TF2. Nothing against Weezy, he's an alright guy. He likes the game. But I think someone like Zesty Jesus would be far more capable of running a better movement. The problem being that people give a fuck about TF2 politics for some reason. Zesty made a transphobic comment to a stream sniper hacker on TF2 once, and a racist reference joke or something. Literally nothing writing home about in my opinion. A lot of people think he's a villain, the Hitler of TF2 if you will. This guy got actual people going to his parents' house and sending him photos with texts saying shit like, I'm gonna rape your mum and your sister, and got phone bombed so hard he almost wasn't able to get home from his job. Zesty has been through more than whoever got called a trans slur, who probably deserved it since they were hacking in TF2. I don't give a fuck if you cheat on TF2 or any game. You deserve to be called anything. I don't care if I'm not politically correct for saying that. I really don't give a fuck. We are all human and we make mistakes. Zesty shouldn't be hated at all. Forgive the man. And he's done more for TF2 than anyone in this discussion. He's the guy who spent weeks sorting and analysing data to find the truth about the TF2 player count, and also calculated that Valve makes around $10 to $15 million on TF2. Even though he didn't start the movement, he's the reason this movement started. Everyone started to panic for the game thanks to Zesty Jesus. He also drastically improved the quality control for workshop cosmetics and single-handedly prevented Prop Hunt from being added into TF2. This guy's a one-man army, and it's so fucking stupid that people think this guy is the villain because he made a trans comment once and a racist comment that was referencing a show or some shit. Put your TF2 politics aside, for fuck's sake, let's just care about the game. Anyway, they come back to the boycott debate and Weezy just says like, oh man, you're not looking at the bigger picture, man, and keeps making the point that, oh, but TF2 could be making more if they fixed it, and keeps making analogies with levers, and that pulling a boycott would pull the same levers that were pulled for the last 4 years of the game. I listened to it over and over, and it made no sense. I think it can make sense what he says, but he's just so unclear with conveying his points, and it's still such a nothing reason, and to me doesn't add any reason to why we shouldn't at least try. He's kind of just speaking out of his ass, which he does a lot in this hour conversation. If Weezy doesn't want to try it because he doesn't know if it's going to work, with that mentality, the movement isn't going nowhere. If it will work or not doesn't matter. We must try. Zesty replies with this, and it just has Weezy absolutely stumped and fumbling over his own words.
It'll work more now if you take the angle of not only focusing on TF2 like you mentioned earlier, but focusing on Valve as a whole and how they're neglecting their other titles, and this is going to be the future for their other games as well. This is already happening with CS2. If you bring in these other spheres and highlight the neglect that these other games are facing, it's going to be that much more impactful. And that includes the financial aspect of TF2 because it has repercussions on the other markets.
Sure, I think that's a better point. That deserves more thought, I think. Fuck, I had more to say.
This stream in a nutshell is everyone trying to simplify to Weezy why a boycott's a good idea and why it wouldn't risk Valve shutting down TF2, and it wouldn't be unethical, and it's not going to hinder anyone's enjoyment, and that TF2's profits being millions of dollars are not just a drop in the bucket. And also Weezy just kind of being unknowledgeable as shit.
Of the argument of TF2 is such a small drop in the bucket that even if you boycott it, it doesn't really make much of a difference.
See, I find that logic laughable because Valve is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Why would they willingly take on a $10 million a year deficit by suddenly turning off TF2?
Overstate just how like ridiculously profitable Valve is. Like, who knows what their fucking overhead is? Do you know how many servers they have to run? You know how like if they were an infinite money company, they would be valued as an infinite money company. Like, of course they have shit that they have to run. Nobody knows the and obviously they have to pay for the healthcare and insurance for all their fucking like 300 employees and shit. I imagine that it actually costs more to maintain Valve than anybody is giving it credit for. Like, I don't think they're as profitable as people are thinking it is.
If I'm misunderstanding, let me know, correct me, and we'll go from there. Is that you believe that if you provide financial repercussions tied to Valve's inaction, then that will incentivize them to stop their inaction? So
not just financial, but something tangible, something that they can actually feel and experience. Financial being the primary one that most people's minds go to. And this is my point about it being a 1-2 punch, right? Sure, $10 million, and by the way, that is a roughly accurate estimate. I saw people in the chat getting upset with that. This is a figure that I calculated not only knowing the percent key cut that workshoppers make, but also the revenue they earn within the first month of an update being launched. So actually 10 million is a conservative estimate based off of, and of course it varies a little bit based on update popularity and how many cases are open, but TF2 earns about, anywhere between $5 to $15 million a year is a range. So 10's in the middle of that. So even though it's only $10 million relatively compared to like say CS2, which earns them about $5 billion a year, Steam, which earns them about $7 billion a year, obviously it's like 2 orders of magnitude less. But that is still a deficit that would be incurred if people stop spending money on the game. And suddenly creating this vacuum of $10 million, oh shit, that's money they don't have anymore. That's suddenly not going to be replaced by something. It's going to hurt their bottom line because they rely on that 10 million as part of their budgeting. So that's one aspect of this. And then you have the other aspect, the social aspect of this, where if you have the biggest figures in the TF2 sphere, all the YouTubers, this big social outcry of we are no longer spending money on your game. That is the biggest kick to the dick in terms of their public image. Where the people who have built entire careers on playing their game, spending money on their game, suddenly saying we're not doing this anymore, oh fuck, that's going to reflect incredibly negatively on them, and it's just going to have this constant feedback loop of, oh hey shit, these big guys who spend money on the game all the time and play it are fed up, I should stop doing this too, because what's the point? And then it's just this big 1-2 punch of like, boom, fuck you socially, fuck you financially, and this becomes tangible in their court. The ball becomes in their court, right? And there's also one more point. Let me finish one more point. And then one more point to this would be why downvoting, like, review bombing the game works, because if you're just crying about it on social media, this is something Valve can completely ignore. But when you put the ball in their court, by taking it to their platform and making not only look bad on their platform, but a game on their platform look bad, that reflects incredibly negatively on them. And they don't want that. That's why a financial boycott would work.
Because remember, like all the fucking big dogs, all the whales, they're using third-party sites. Valve doesn't get any cut of that. And then on the contrary, like fucking
my friend. Oh, if only you knew how many keys these motherfuckers buy every time there's a new update. If I personally know several traders that probably open 6,000 to 7,000 cases every time a new update comes out.
And they're buying them off the Steam market?
They're buying them direct. Well, of course, they have to come from Valve first before they become tradable.
Okay, I see what you mean. Sure. Yeah. Like,
even Richter is able to explain how it would be done. Richter makes Gmod ARG analysis videos. Even someone who's not focused on the TF2 community has better input and ideas than Weezy.
It's not just like a everybody in the community let's stop buying shit. It's got to be like something that the active YouTuber sphere and all the public content creators and stuff is also promoting.
80% of this video was unscripted, and I'm sick of listening to this discussion because the more I listen to it, the more I lose faith in the movement. Again, I hope the movement does well. Sign the petition and just bear with the shitty website, guys, and stop buying TF2 shit and send Valve emails, because that will amount to a lot. And the movement isn't really pushing any of that stuff, so I really want to emphasize that. Review bomb the game, stop buying shit, the game doesn't work, and send Valve emails.